Hello and welcome to part 2 of our conversation with Adam Walker. Today we talk with Adam about running a successful business, how to win clients and wear a fedora, and making 50-50 partnerships work in the 21st century. I'm excited and I know you are too, so keep it right here to the Peak Performers Podcast.
Welcome to this edition of Peak Performers Podcast with your host, Thor Conklin. Thor will be sharing the necessary tools, strategies, and psychology you'll need to become a peak performer in any area of your life or business.
One of the things that you do a tremendous amount of prospecting in person, one-on-one.
Yeah, right.
Tell us a little bit about that.
Well, so I've got a mentor, and I think it's another lesson, by the way, is you always need to have a mentor, someone that has been there before you and can tell you how to get there. And so I have a mentor, and I sat down with him one day, and I said, well, you've grown 2 companies and done really well. How did you do that? And his response was 15 meetings a week minimum. And so I've taken that to heart, and I try to do 15 to 20 meetings a week, ideally in person, but often on the phone, minimum. I think as of today, today's Tuesday, I think I've had 7 so far this week. I think this is number 7 right here. And that's it's knowing and being known. And that's what helps you to grow your business, your personal network. Knowing and being known is huge.
Absolutely. What's one of your biggest weaknesses?
That's a great question. I have a habit of probably wanting to take on too much and being a little overly ambitious with that. So, a great practical example of that's like hey, I'm gonna clean out the basement today, and I will assume it's a half a day job, and then 4 days later realize, okay, now I'm finally done. So I think my own optimism about my abilities can sometimes be a bad thing.
I was going to mention your 5 kids. Under the age of, what are they, like under the age of 12?
Yeah, 5 kids under the age of 12. That's right. Yeah.
Yeah, so I think that's a weakness right there. Taking on a...
Well, it depends on how you look at it. It builds character and patience. Lots of building of patience that's happening there. So,
speaking about your kids, if you had 90 seconds to leave them advice, what would you tell them?
I think I would tell them to be ambitious and to plan ahead and to love others well and to be kind. That's really when I'm talking to my kids right now and we're in the mid, they're struggling with one another. I always ask them 2 questions: are you being kind and are you being loving? And if they're not being kind and they're not being loving, then they know they're in the wrong. And so I would tell them, be kind and loving, and be ambitious. Realize that you can do amazing things if you want to, and you really do have the ability to change the world. If you want to change the world, it's just a question of putting your mind to it.
And taking 15 meetings a week. I love that advice. A lot of people think that they're kind of working hard, they're prospecting and doing what it takes, but it's like, when you're in front of 15 people a week, prospects, it will pay dividends, no question.
Yes.
Give us a little idea. I mean, you're in a very crowded space. How do you win business? What's your pitch? Other than I've got 5 kids, I need money.
That's it. Well, that's always my first pitch, right? With anything, listen, I need dinner. I got 5 kids. I'm Chick-fil-A.
Look, I laugh about that a little bit, okay? But literally, I was working with a client about 2 weeks ago, and they had this big proposal, and they were going back and forth. I don't know what to do. I said, well, first of all, you got to get one of your young kids to record a little thing on your phone saying, look, my daddy needs this, okay? I want to go to college. I want to go to a good college. I don't want to keep doing, what my dad's doing. I'd like to do a little bit better, and we're going to need some money. And he looked at me and he said, that's crazy. I was like, no, what's crazy is going in a meeting and leaving something off the table and not going all in. That's crazy.
That's right. I love that.
Oh yeah, I'd have each
that.
one of your kids, and you can say, do you like boys, or you like, do you have any kids? What's your favorite? The boys or the girls, and I just love little girls. They're so cute. I have a video for my little girl. Hold on one second.
Have them categorized.
My daddy needs some business. Please give it to him.
I'll have to keep that in mind for the future. I'm not promising.
No. Don't keep it in mind. You got to do it. This show is about doing. This is not about like thinking. Oh yeah, I'll think about that now. Yeah. No, it's about doing it. You don't have to break it out every single time.
Sure, I'm going to do that.
Okay, that's fine. That's fine. If you don't want to commit to it, I understand that. Now you got to have a competitor out there that's going to be doing it behind your
right.
back. So
that's right. That's probably true. No, so you ask, how do we differentiate? That's a really, really difficult question to answer. So I would say we differentiate this way. In the website space, there is everything from do-it-yourself for $50 a month, all the way up to the larger agencies in town that won't even have a conversation with you for less than $50,000. And the middle ground in between those spaces is a little bit of a no man's land. It seems like every one man shop is trying to get to be the 500 man shop, and they don't so much care about the middle ground in between. And that's really all we care about. We don't really want the huge Fortune 50 brands on our slide deck. What we really want is the mid-size companies that no one's ever heard of, that we know we can serve really, really well, and we have a lot of experience serving really, really well, and that's who we want to do business with. And so I'd say that's kind of the differentiator for us, at least at this moment.
You know what you do also that I really like, and you may laugh at this, but I'm telling you, and I even have a story around it, is you always wear a fedora everywhere you go. Everywhere you go, you got a fedora. I mean, literally, even on your little icon on Skype here, you got a fedora. I don't think I've ever seen you without a fedora.
That's right.
Do you have like a sleeping fedora?
No, I don't. I don't. I should get one. That's a great idea. I got my napping fedora now.
That's what I'm going to be hearing from your wife. Why'd you tell him to get a sleeping fedora? But what I like about it is it differentiates you. It's your signature look. And I was in the insurance business in New York years ago, and there was a guy that wore a seersucker suit every single day with a straw hat, a nice. kind of straw hat. And even in the wintertime, he had a seersucker suit on, but he always had his straw hat on, and it was just his thing. Good buddy of mine always wore a bow tie. That's all he wore was a bow tie.
Right.
So I think it's really it's a nice look, and it's something that sets you apart. And the more you do it, you're gonna be like, hey, Adam, Adam sounds, the guy with the fedora. Oh yeah, I know him. Yeah.
Oh, I'll tell you what, it's actually it's almost creepy sometimes, because people will randomly come up to me on a relatively regular basis and be like, oh, hey, I know you from so and so and so and so and so and so. And I have no earthly idea who they are, or if I've even spoken to them, but they just recognize the hat, and then they saw me somewhere else and they came and spoke to me. And it's almost like being a celebrity, even though I'm not even close to being a celebrity. It's super weird. It's great. It's very good.
That's what we got to do in business. We have to become a celebrity in our space.
That's right. And that is my goal, is to be a celebrity in my space and wear a cool hat while doing it.
And people have to know if they're going to do business with you.
Okay, why do you get up every single morning and go to work? Is it because you love morning traffic, office break room coffee, and meetings? No. The main reason people get together and work is accountability. Of course, these days you can definitely remotely work most jobs. Heck, my phone's got a more powerful computer in it than any desktop my dad's ever used. But it's not about that. What it is about is being able to look a peer in the eye and know that you delivered. A lot of entrepreneurs these days don't have that luxury. They might work from home. They might be a sole proprietor, or they might just be a one-person operation. But accountability is still an important part to execution and overall success. So what do? Well, we've got a solution. Visit thorconklin.com/accountability. Thor's set up a masterful system that's powerful and allows you to connect one-on-one with him. If you think you might be a good candidate, simply check us out. Again, it's thorconklin.com/accountability. It'll be the easiest meeting you sit through all day.
We heard some of the best advice you received from a mentor. What's some of the worst advice you've ever received? You didn't know it was bad advice. You took it and then turned around and go, oops, that was not a good idea.
I've been fortunate not to receive too much bad advice. I'd say one piece of bad advice that I did get at one point in time. So it actually took me several rounds to try to talk my business partner, my co-founder in SIdeways8, to actually go into business with me. So I tried one round, and we actually consulted with his dad. And his dad was like, "Oh no, don't do that. Just be a sole proprietor and just kind of partner up here and there, and it'll be better for you." And so we went that route for a while, and then we kept growing and growing and growing, individually, and it was more and more difficult to get work done. And So finally, another year or two later, I approached him again. I said, "Hey, look, we got to start a company, man. This is crazy." And he finally relented and started a company with me. And so I think, we could have started a little earlier, maybe, if his dad had not goaded us in that other direction. But that was, I don't know that was particularly terrible advice. I just wish I'd kind of listened to my gut a little sooner, and really partnered up and started a company sooner. So I think that's the thing, is just, if you get advice that doesn't follow, kind of what your gut's telling you, then you need to check it and possibly, go against it. I mean, not all advice is great advice.
No, absolutely. Now, do you own 50-50, the split of a company?
Yep.
Okay.
Yeah, we're 50-50. Yeah.
So, there's a lot of people out there that have partnerships where it's 50-50. How do you kind of break the tie? How do you make that work? It sounds like it's working great.
It's interesting. We almost never butt heads, and I think that's because we actually both took the DISC personality assessment recently, and we actually have an identical personality type from the DISC perspective anyway. But what's interesting about it is that we're both very headstrong. We're both very very high D, very high I, but also willing to be wrong. And I think, honestly, that's the biggest thing that where we have problems when we're in these 50-50 relationships, whether they're like marriages or business partnerships or whatever. I mean, I'm completely willing to be wrong on anything at any time. Like, I'm totally okay with being wrong, and I'm totally okay admitting that I'm wrong once somebody shows me that I am. And so if I'm being truly honest, and I genuinely hope my business partner never listens to this podcast episode, usually when we butt heads, he's usually right and I'm willing to be wrong, and it works out fine.
That is great advice. We hear a lot of great advice on this show, but I think you just hit on something that is really, really key. I never heard it said that way, is being able to admit that you're wrong. And it sounds like, just to kind of keep things going as well, just to say, you know what, I don't know who's right. I don't know who's wrong. Maybe I'm the wrong one. Let's just keep moving.
Yeah.
I love that. That's great.
Well, I mean, it's okay, right? It's okay.
It is.
And like, for some reason in this culture, we think it's not. But it's not a big deal. And like, even with clients, I mean, if the client disagrees and somebody on my team has done something wrong, I mean, I'll just tell them, look, it was my fault. Like, I am responsible. I will take responsibility. I'm okay with responsibility. And let's move forward. And let's have a good relationship. And we can do it. We just keep on trucking through it.
I think that's great advice. There's so many things that come down the pike. What framework or what do you put in place in order to know what to say yes to and what to say no to?
Man, that is a difficult. That's the best question, really, and that's what I'm learning. Is I'm learning to say no more quickly. So I think the first thing you have to have, especially in the services business, is you have to have a minimum. I mean, you just can't work under X amount of dollars unless these particular extraneous circumstances are in place or something like that. And so I think that's critical. Then the other thing is you just have to decide early that you're not going to work with people you don't like. And so, for us, we've had to let go of clients that our team just hated working with. And some of those clients were genuinely profitable. But if our team hates working with them, we're not going to do good work. And ultimately, that relationship's going to end up falling apart anyway. And it's better just to cut them loose early, make my team happy. And ultimately, we'll be more profitable in the long run because my team can work on things they do love. And then we do better work. And then we get more referrals. And it just kind of all cycles from there.
That makes sense. How do you find great employees? Everybody seems to struggle with this.
Yeah, it's tough, especially because when we're trying to, for example, hire coders. Hiring developers that are genuinely what they say they are and what we need are is very difficult. I think typically for us, we try to take the friends and family method as best we can. So we're still pretty small where we can do that. I think there comes a point where you can't do that any longer, and you've got to start looking at recruiters and things like that, and you've got to really have a very clear process in place on how to hire those people. And I think, if I'm recalling correctly, didn't you do an episode where somebody actually talked about their hiring practices and how they make people jump through certain hoops that they automatically disqualify themselves, right?
Oh, yeah. That's actually me. That piece. Yeah.
Well, but you talked with somebody that also did the same thing.
Yes. Mine is in the job posting. It says when you respond, put in a certain phrase in the reply or the reference line. So then that cuts out 50% right off the bat.
Yeah, I think you've got to do that plus a few. So for us, when interviews happen, we do that, and then they start through an interview process, and they have to get through about 3 team members before they ever get to interview with me, or me and Aaron, I should say. And so by the time they actually interview with us, I mean, it's pretty much a done deal at that point.
Got it.
Which is the idea.
Absolutely. Have you ever engaged anybody overseas or in any of the other markets?
I have. We've tried to do development overseas in the past. We've gotten mixed results, I guess is the nicest way to say it.
The nicest way to say it. You don't have to be nice to me. I wasn't the guy he hired.
Yeah, that's true. The quality is just tough. It's just the best way I can describe it is that when you get development done overseas, they tend to be order takers, and what that means is that your orders have to be absolutely perfect in order for them to execute something that's perfect. And your order's never going to be perfect. You're not going to think through something from a development perspective the way that a developer would. And so a developer that works with you here is you're gonna tell them, oh, do this, and they'll go, oh, okay. And when you say this, you mean you want me to do this, and this too, right? And you'll say yes, and then they develop it. It's great. But overseas, they just do the one thing, and then you'd be going, why doesn't this thing work? I don't know. Why doesn't it work? So it's interesting. Let's just say that.
Yeah, I'm getting ready to do an experiment with my own company, and that is to pay a lot of money in a particular given region to see if I can find someone who's spectacular.
Yeah.
And I don't know if it's going to work yet, but I'm going to see, I'm going to go way, way above what normal is in that market. And of course, it'll still be less than the U.S. And I want to see if I can attract someone that I could not afford here in the U.S.
Right. It's definitely possible. And I know people that have genuinely had success. And so I do not disparage that. I just know that for us, we've not had a lot of success there.
Yeah, I'm looking for someone that graduated Stanford and then went back home.
Okay.
So,
that may be difficult to find. Like, that's a very specific market you're looking for. Right
yeah, what I realize. Well, again, I don't know how it's going to work. I'll check in. I'll respond back to the audience here and let you know how my experiment went. I'm probably about 30 days away from knowing how that's going to work, but.
Okay.
It's a good idea. It's one of those things. It's like, let me see. I want someone who's really, really qualified. They're out of the price range that I can afford here in the United States. Let me try somewhere else.
Right. So, yeah. Totally makes sense. Definitely worth a shot.
Thank you so much for listening today. I really do appreciate your time, and I hope you found today's show valuable. If you would like to receive these shows automatically to your phone or to your computer, simply go to iTunes and subscribe. After listening to several of the shows, if you're so inclined, please leave us a 5-star rating, as this helps us reach additional people and spread the message. If you're truly committed to taking your life to the next level and doing whatever it takes to become a peak performer, but something's holding you back, something is blocking your way, and you just can't seem to figure out what it is, send me an email to info@thorconklin.com, and I'd be more than happy to get on the phone with you. We'll schedule a 15-minute discovery call. No obligation, no cost. I absolutely love to hear from the listeners, and if there's something I can do to help, I'd be more than happy to do that. Also, if you found something of great interest in today's show and you want to share that with your friends and family, simply go to my Facebook page, Thor Conklin, click on the episode, hit the share button, and share it on your page. You can follow me at Twitter at Thor Conklin. The website is thorconklin.com. We're constantly adding new free resources, discussing additional tricks, tips, tools, and strategies on how to be a peak performer. Remember, I try to keep these episodes short so you can listen to them during dot time, doing other things, commuting, driving, walking, working out. Decide to be a peak performer in all that you do. And until tomorrow, have an absolutely amazing day.
And that brings us to the end of another episode of the Peak Performers Podcast. Be on the lookout for part 3 with Adam Walker, where Thor runs him through the rapid-fire execution round, and we find out why Adam thinks you should listen to your spouse more often, why he regrets taking on certain clients, and why he tries to get a little bit better at saying no every single year. That's next time on the Peak Performers Podcast. We'll see you at the top.